Hello guys, happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I'm jumping on. I have been talking literally all day. I just got off of 2 training calls and I've had back-to-back one-on-one coaching calls all day, but I love it. I'm so fired up. And inside of my Soulful Sales Accelerator program, I was challenging everybody to do 14 days of live video, and everyone's like, I'm in. So I decided to do something on my personal page. So if you're jumping on, hi Amy, hi Em, I'm going to challenge you to do something, which is 14 days of vulnerability. And this is where you're sharing something that's like the next level piece of you. And what I've had a conversation with a lot of women about, just like in DMs and stuff like that, I'm like, what piece of you aren't you sharing, or that you're like afraid to hold back on? Like, you know that you need to speak your truth around, you know you need to share that piece of your story, or something that you've been wanting to share, something that you've been wanting to put out there. Whatever that is that's what I'm going to challenge you to start opening up, letting people in a little bit more, and letting people see you, letting people connect with you on a deeper level. And I want to challenge you to do that over the next 14 days, where you're speaking your truth, like I said, speaking your truth, showing up, sharing different pieces of you, and really getting to that next place with your audience. Because what we'll do a lot is we'll kind of get into our habit of our flow, and we're sharing tips, we're sharing advice, we're sharing things that are helpful, and we're maybe posting a picture of one piece that's happening in our life, and then we're kind of going back and doing other things. But it's the way that people connect with you is when you're really sharing those deeper parts of your story, where you're really sharing your heart and soul, you're speaking your truth, and maybe it ruffles a little bit of feathers, or maybe it's a deeper part of you that you feel you've healed from, but you feel you need to share, or that you're okay, I've maybe been touching about it right here, but I need to go one step deeper, and I need to be able to connect with my audience on this level. And so I decided to start this because I know we all need space held for us as we're going through everything. It's scary when we're showing up at the next level. It's scary when we're, playing all in. Amy said this is perfect for me right now. I love it. So starting to think about what can you share that maybe you haven't talked about yet? Or what's something that's really been on your heart? Or maybe a piece of you that you feel you've been hiding, or that you are oh God, I know everything on the other side of this is where all the magic is happening. And how can you start to exercise that, more within your clients and more within your live videos, and letting your audience know and trust you? Because they probably know you're an amazing coach. So you probably provide great tips, great information, all these different things. But if you're not at the level of where you're making sales where you want to, it's because your audience wants to know you a little bit deeper, or you're just not shining your light as bright as you need to and getting your energy out there. And I don't mean that you need to do more in order to receive more. You just might need to go deeper, or people might need to feel that space held from you by sharing and holding space for them. And something that I did today to kind of kick this off is I was sharing a story about a year ago, literally a year ago, when my now ex-boyfriend and I broke up. And in that moment, I had to, we were supposed to be moving back up into LA, and we were living in Orange County at the time, and I had to find an apartment. And I had to find one the next day because our lease was up in 7 days. So I was planning on moving back up there, and that didn't work out. So I was literally in those moments had to decide who am I going to be? Am I going to rise up when a situation happens? I had just invested in a coach. I was needed now to pay double in my rent, or was I going to let the world around me hold me back? If you guys want to go check that out, it's on Instagram. I share all the details, and I get really, really vulnerable with it as well, because there was still so much that was coming up for me at that moment in time. But I wanted to show my audience, where I've been able to shift in the lessons that I learned, because we're always learning lessons. We're always going through things at the next level in our business, and at the next level, there's always a next level. There's always a way that you can shine your light a little bit brighter. There's always a way that people can connect with you a little bit more. If there's something that you've been wanting to say, or something around your story that you know that you need to share, then I'm giving you the space, I'm giving you the permission, and you can hold yourself accountable, because I will be doing that in too, because we all want to be in integrity. So if you're well, shit, I don't even know where to start with this, start to just write down stories, write down breakthroughs, write down aha moments, write down things that you shifted through, and you're okay, these are the stories that I need to share. This is something that came up for me. This is something I've been through. This is something I've been working through. And just start brain dumping and just see what comes out. Like, sit with yourself, sit with your silence, and see what comes up for you. And then either get on live video, do a post, do an Instagram story, do something where you're just getting your energy out there and you're talking and sharing it from a place of like where you were at and where you are at now, and what was the lesson, like what was the breakthrough, what was the aha moment, what shifted for you, what changed, and being able to share that with your audience, because what you're doing too is you're holding space for them to be able to go through that as well. I was just talking about this inside of Burnout to Sellout, where I was talking about illuminating objections. And so often in our business, we get like objections around like money, time, or something, whatever it might be. And what I said to them, I was like, are you talking about the moments when you shifted through that, where you said, I'm going to invest in myself? And if you haven't done, these sorts of things, that's another, thing as well. So I was asking them, I was like, have you shared the story about like when you were shitting your pants and you decided to invest in this program, or when you decided to invest in a certification or whatever that is? I'm like, are you actually sharing those things? Are you actually illuminating the objections by telling your story and telling what was coming up for you around that? Or are you kind of just sitting back and hoping that people are going to come to you, but you haven't actually shared some of those things? And that's where like so much of the magic happens, is when we can illuminate those objections. And then the other half of that as well is saying like, okay, like, is there something subconsciously that I don't even realize that I'm attracting? Because sometimes you'll be illuminating an objection by telling your story around it. And if you're like, all right, Erin, yes, I've been investing in myself, I've been sharing the stories around some of the objections that I get, I'm illuminating that, then the other part that's happening is somewhere inside of your subconscious mind, there's a fear of like, oh, it may not stay, or I'm not worthy of this success, or will I be able to provide this transformation, or there's so many other people that are doing it. Like, there's some other like BS story that you don't realize is happening, right? Because we all have these different stories that are popping up into our mind that are what's creating the objection, just from like your energy and your aura and like everything that's happening around in your head that's coming into you. Because when we're getting that, it's because we're like a mirror or a reflection for everything that's happening into our life. So if something is coming to you and you're getting that objection, you're getting that like, no, I don't have time or whatever, either make sure that you're sharing your story of how you shifted through that, maybe how you got resourceful, or it's time to deep dive into some of like the stuff that's popping up in your head and you're like, oh God, like this is not a conscious thought, right? It's a subconscious belief that you have around like, what's the responsibility to the desire? What are you afraid of that's going to happen? Is there something with like either in your inner child or at the next level that you're fearful of, like being able to give that result, being able to keep or have money, or that it can stay, or whatever it is, right? Like we all have these things at every single freaking level. That's why we all like have blinders on a lot of times. We need somebody to pull them off because they're not a knowing for us. And usually as we can shift through those, or we have the awareness around it, and you're like, oh, okay, this is why this is happening, for like, this is why I'm attracting this, or this is why I'm bringing this in, we can be able to shift through that. We can start to say, okay, this makes so much sense. This is what's happening. This is what's coming up for me. How can I shift through this? Or how can I tell my story around this to be able to, hold space for people in this way? Because what you're doing is you're holding space for them. You're helping them. You're being a good coach in that moment as well. You're understanding that everything that you do in your business is energy. Everything that you're doing in your business is like the mindset and the inner work and the energy, and what you're getting is because something is happening inside of you at every single level, for freaking sure. So that kind of went off on a tangent from what I came on here to say, but it made sense from another live video that I was just doing. And yeah, that's what I had for you guys today. So we're doing 14 days of vulnerability. How can you show up? How can you speak your truth? How can you go one step deeper with your story? That's what I'm going to challenge you to do in a live video, in Instagram stories, in a post, whatever floats your boat over the next 14 days. And like I said, some of the women that are in my Soulful Sales Accelerator, we're doing a 14-day live video challenge. So if you want to just hop on that too, then you can hop on that as well. So I love you. Let me know what comes up for you. Feel free to send me a message, or if you're like, holy shit, something resonated, then I'd love to hear from you. And if you're watching the replay, you can use #replay. But if you guys want to look forward to some of the stories that I'll be sharing over the next 14 days as well, I'm excited to be going even deeper with all of you. All right. I love you. Goodbye.